All right, we're live. Friends,
Hello.
thank you for being here and talking with us. This is OLC Live. This is brand new. I don't know. Did we tell you much about what this is, this experiment, what we're doing?
No.
Would you like to know a little bit?
We would like to know.
Totally. Sure, yeah. So we're being broadcast out on the internets in real time.
Hi, Mom.
People have been joining us all over the place and interacting and coming in and out, and as they're going to different sessions virtually too. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like a virtual lounge sort of space for them to engage and interact and reflect between sessions in the virtual environment. It's also been kind of a fun experiment because we've been doing interviews with people who have presented and been able to do a reflection of that presentation and what they were talking about. And it's a fun sort of thing I would love to do without a camera rolling, like just to talk with people about what they're learning, what they're experiencing at the conference and stuff. I believe you guys did a workshop.
We did.
And my wife's Italian, okay? So I saw spaghetti being thrown up on the wall, and I was like, that's such a great analogy, because the aspect of timeliness for new ideas and innovation and throwing spaghetti, it could be a great noodle, but if it's not the right time, it's not the right level of saturation and all these different factors, it's not going to stick. So I loved the title.
Yeah, we got in the title, guys. That's what we spent the most time on. No, I'm kidding.
Well, titles are hard.
It is important. I actually think we may have started from the title.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, let's start from there. Like, what is throwing spaghetti to the wall? And as innovation, you guys already did the workshop.
We did, yeah. It was the first morning, Wednesday morning. So what's actually been nice is being able to sort of think about it.
Yeah.
After having now gone to a bunch of different sessions and seeing other people talk about related ideas about using design thinking on their campuses and all the other things that we sort of talked about having different pieces at other places. But I think the spaghetti at the wall is really, let's try lots of things. We don't know until we try something what parts of it are going to work, what parts of it aren't going to work. We have, kind of an iterative experience at Northwestern of trying stuff that's not fully cooked and seeing what parts of it, work.
Yeah, I think that's really the most important part is the idea that we have been creating, our whole goal is to create a culture of innovation. And so that's a giant goal, right? And so you have to break that down in some way into smaller, meaningful pieces, and design thinking helps you do that. Yeah. And so we had, a bunch of how might we, you come out of that with a bunch of how might we's. And I think that the idea that we didn't spend years planning some perfect solution to that problem, we were like, okay, well, we're going to put up this program and we're going to plan it for 2 months. We're going to bring people in and see how it goes and have it be a pilot. And that way we haven't spent a whole bunch of resources on something that may or may not work or may not be right for our institution. So it was about taking all the nuggets that we learned as we threw all of this stuff at the wall and then seeing what we could keep, what needed to be scrapped, what needed to be changed or cooked longer. And
I think one of the things we talked a lot about in our workshop is, excuse my voice, that you learn from like what doesn't work just as much as you learn from what works. And so by having this sort of faster paced iterative process, we learn a lot more about our users' needs and the context and realities of our institution and what works in the long run.
I think also being a little bit brave, not that we are, sort of perfect or, the most brave, but that we can sort of show faculty who might want to innovate that we ourselves have tried stuff and fall down, pick ourselves up and try it again. That we're willing to do that, I think helps kind of rub off a little bit on them and give them, a little more confidence in trying something that, might mess up their, student evaluations, might make it harder for them at the beginning of class, might mean a lot more prep than they're used to. Give it a shot and, you've got partners.
And we're willing to stand next to them.
Right.
We're willing to be like, I'm here. Like, if you fall, I'm standing next to you.
Yep.
Right. And I think that that's something they appreciate.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a huge, I don't know, service or posture to come alongside anybody who's trying something new and be a support in that way. So I'm a amateur interviewer, so
That's good. We're amateur interviewees, so we're all in this together.
Awesome.
We're standing next to each other.
This is rapid iteration right now. So one thing I forgot to do is ask you guys to introduce yourselves. And
We're nobody.
I know you're at Northwestern, but who are you? What are your roles? How did you move into these roles?
Sure. So I'm Alyssa Dyar, and we're all part of the Teaching and Learning Technologies team at Northwestern. So we're sort of housed in IT, but work on academic initiatives. I specifically work with our Master's in Law program at the law school, helping bring the program online, sort of top to bottom, everything from course design to thinking about our admissions process and onboarding and managing the online program. And again, I'm sorry, the octaves are jumping all over the place.
It's Nashville. It's third conference.
Yeah.
Great.
We get it.
It's musical.
Yeah.
It's beautiful,
Yeah.
Alyssa.
I'm Matthew Aron, also in the same team, focusing a lot on faculty development and kind of the big picture stuff and some of the stuff that Heather and other folks in the team began. I'm sort of carrying the torch and moving forward with it.
I'm Heather Haseley. I'm a learning engineer. People are like, what is a learning engineer? Alyssa is also a learning engineer. And it's a role we created. I like to say that, engineers take technology and science and they solve problems. And so, I mean, that's the definition of an engineer, right?
Yeah.
And so learning engineers use cognitive science, educational pedagogy, plus educational technology to solve teaching and learning problems. It's a pretty easy sort of place. And so people always ask us, like, how does that differ from an instructional designer? And the answer is, like, instructional designer is kind of grown to encompass this large group of skill sets. And so we wouldn't say that, like, anybody isn't an instructional designer or isn't a learning engineer, but at our institution, we sort of see it as like the next step where you do broader, like, full program scale things. I work on innovations things at our institution through our provost office. And so it's more people working at a programmatic level and looking at both the evaluation of those programs as well as, and, some of the research side as well as the instructional design side.
Yeah.
I think another thing is that having unusual titles means we sort of get to have conversations like this.
Right here. Yeah.
With other people, with people at Northwestern. My title is Blended Curriculum Lead. And so that's just another whole, like, let's open that can up and see what's in there. And it's, about taking the technology that we think of as online learning technologies and bringing it back to campus and using some version of those technologies with classes that meet in person. And, blended learning is sort of a thing people now talk about a lot, but, not everybody who's on campus has heard that.
Yeah, so you are walking alongside programs, departments that are trying new things. And we're in higher education. We know that that can be a scary thing because we all are obsessed with success, and failure is avoided sometimes at all costs. But that can be the costliest thing of all if all we're doing is trying to avoid failure all the time. So maybe, do you have an example of something recently at Northwestern that you were able to walk alongside a program with, where they were able to try something new and fail and learn from that failure and go to places they couldn't have gone maybe without you being there?
Is there a good example in the MSL yet?
I don't know that. Luckily, we have no failures yet. I'm sure they'll come and we'll learn from them. But I think there's probably some good examples from our story we told in our workshop about sort of thinking about this, promoting this culture of innovation as a whole. And we tried a lot of different methods to see what would work and strategies to get faculty to feel motivated and supported in trying new things. And some of those initiatives have worked really, really well. Some we've had to iterate and improve over time, and some just
Yeah.
didn't work, and we had to think about why they didn't work. And I think that
Yeah. So we had an active learning classrooms initiative. And so our how might we question was, so the university built a bajillion active learning classrooms. That's not true.
Give or take a few.
Give or take a few. They built a building full of active learning classrooms. And they said, okay, now use them. And there wasn't really a plan there for how people were going to use them.
When was this?
This was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay.
And so we decided that one of the solutions would be we would do an active learning classrooms initiative, and we would make a program. And our how might we question was, how can we get people who are assigned to active learning classrooms to use them better in their, and so we took the people who were already assigned and tried to get them to try new things. That failed horribly. We bombed hard. We only got 3 people who wanted to do it. Even
them,
it was
hard to get them to sort of stay engaged with us, because it was kind of happenstance who got in those rooms. And some of them wanted that space, some of them just ended up there. And so
and the registrar's office was not really connected with our office and how they assign those classrooms. So we decided that the actual problem was reframing the question. So we scrapped that and we said, actually, how do we get people who want to use active learning classrooms trained and into those classrooms? So now we're iterating on that and creating a new community based around that. So, I mean, it's clear that we failed. I mean, we put up a program and they did not come. And so we had to totally rethink it and rethink our strategy. And then even go back to the question we were asking and the problem we were trying to solve.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good example from our group.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to talk more about that.
And that's still, I mean,
that's in the brand newest phases.
That's still that's still in the kitchen, but our colleagues who are working on that have seen kind of incremental and exciting steps of people getting kind of energized and sort of becoming, it's like a little train the trainer, sort of the people who are sort of most interested in it are becoming the kind of evangelists, or maybe that's a little too strong, but becoming the, kind of coordinators of the training and the development project.
Sure. Now you guys ran a half-day workshop? Was it a
90 minutes?
90-minute workshop on this idea of rapid prototyping, iteration, using design thinking kind of, I don't know, methodologies or mindsets in this work. So could you tell us a little bit about this workshop and what happened, as well as, like you were saying, marinating on what happened with what's been happening at the conference?
I can start with, I think one of the things we wanted to do is say, do a nice balance. We had an hour and a half, which is longer than a lot of the presentation slots, to really say, okay, we have a story, we will share that with you, and we will speak as quickly as we can on those parts so that you can sit down with the projects or the problems or challenges you bring from your own institution and work through the sort of 5 steps of design thinking, knowing that you're not going to be able to really prototype something here. You're not going to really be able to test something here. But if you can do the empathizing, which is sort of the first step, and really figure out, like, what are the problems and who are your users or audiences that you're needing to do something for, and then kind of come up with lots of ideas and come up with, a really defined problem to solve. If you've done at least a little bit of that in an hour and a half at a conference, like, that might be worth it, worth it to you.
Yeah.
And then you've got other ideas coming, throughout the rest of the conference. So, so we did share some of, the experiences we've all had at Northwestern with, within this framework.
And I think some of the goals too, in addition to sort of presenting this design thinking framework and getting people starting to think about innovation at their institution, it was thinking about how they're already using some of these techniques in their process, or how they could integrate, even if they're not sort of going through the traditional design thinking framework step by step. There's pieces of that are really helpful, just a whole lot of problems, and just rethink the way you address problems.
Yeah, another frame.
Yeah, and then also to get them talking to other people from different institutions, and oftentimes just talking through these problems with someone else, getting an outsider's perspective forces you to think outside the sort of constraints of the realities of your institution, which is what design thinking tries to get you to do, is think outside the box, and having another person with a different perspective can help do that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people also found that we all have a lot of the same problems.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that was actually what a lot of people said. They're like, we have common problems. It's good to know I'm not alone.
Yes.
And I think the other thing that we try to do is provide materials for them to take home, because I feel like, we also provided the the innovation scorecard, which EDUCAUSE made, to help them try to figure out and uncover the because. Why? Why are these problems happening at your institution, and what's the root cause? And that document is really, really good at helping people take something that they've observed and try to uncover the root cause of it institutionally. And I think that sometimes people don't always think of like some of the institutional factors that are facing their problems, or it's difficult to sort of think through where those sit. And the innovation scorecard really helps with that. Plus, we have a whole bunch of worksheets. So,
and if your institution, becomes sort of the air you breathe, you stop thinking about what's unique, what's particular, what really is, possibly a roadblock or an avenue you hadn't thought about that, like, oh, I didn't even think about it because I was focused on this problem. But if you kind of take a step back and look at your institution as a whole, the innovation scorecard, you get a kind of, again, it's like having a different perspective on your own situation.
Yeah. So we found that people, found that useful. Well, we hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to see what the reviews say later.
Yeah.
Right. We force them to innovate. Hopefully our student evaluations won't be bad.
Yeah. So if I were to go to EDUCAUSE, would I be able to find this innovation scorecard? And
I believe so. Actually, I had seen it a long time ago and I was looking for it recently, and it's a little bit buried now.
It is. It's on like a blog post or something.
But if you look up EDUCAUSE Innovation Scorecard or go to our little...
you just
go to our link. We have a bit.ly.
You do? Okay. What's
Yeah.
the bit.ly?
What is our bit.ly, Matthew?
Do I have it handy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've
We
got
can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We could send it to you.
Okay.
It's also in the app in our presentation
Okay.
description. Yeah.
Yes. Huh. Very cool. Yet another instance of me coming to this conference, meeting people doing the same work, and learning, and I think I could talk with you guys and ask you questions for a long time, but these are intended to be very short, little spurt kind of conversations. So I just want to say thank you for sitting down and sharing some of the things that you did with the workshop. And do you wish it had been longer?
We could have definitely done a longer workshop, but I don't know if we wish it had been longer, right? So I think that there's a balance there. Is like, I think what we gave to people, we hope is helpful and useful, and it was like the right amount of time for what we did. But if people wanted to really get more deeply into it, we could definitely have done something longer. So I think that, we always say like, we'd like more time, or no, that was perfect.
There was a little race to the finish.
Yeah. Like every presentation, but
conferences are hard. You're trying to get like a little taste of so many things while you're here. So hopefully we gave people enough.
Yeah, and we're open to people connecting with us after. So if people want to know more and want to learn more, like, the workshop is only an hour and a half, but we're around. Please reach out to us and talk to us about what we're doing, and maybe we can collaborate with you on what you're doing. So, and help think about, give us a perspective on what we have that we haven't seen before, because that's the value, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Maybe one more question, if I may. Where are we at on time? Yeah, we've got time for this. Anything at the conference this year that has been remarkable to you?
Well, the keynote this morning was phenomenal.
Was it?
I was totally, that was maybe my favorite part of the entire conference.
Ruha Benjamin was something else. It was interesting because the keynote yesterday was kind of I don't know if he would call himself this, Jordan Shapiro, but he was sort of there's a sort of futurist kind of vibe to it. Yeah. And it kind of had this like, he'd probably argue with me, but it had this sort of like, kind of ethical neutrality to it that like here are the facts. Like, technology is changing how we behave and interact with each other. And again, I'm putting words into his mouth, but he was basically like observing a thing and saying we all have to deal with it. And then this morning was sort of a nice antidote to that from my perspective, which was just like, no, really, there's ethics in everything we're doing, and if we're not thinking about it, we're letting the robots, that we've turned, into whatever they are, go ahead and kind of run the show, and that's pretty dangerous. If we're not, we think that algorithms are just going to like be neutral and fix things. Like, that's just not.
They're replicating our own biases.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and so we are. Yeah.
And I think the other thing is like, none of us are like, technology obsessives who think that that's the solution, and sometimes the smallest adjustment may or may not have anything to do with technology, but that's what we're here to kind of help people with.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, it is great meeting you. I look forward to, I'm going to follow up actually.
Please do.
Please do.
Talking more about some of these things. And thank you for being here. And we've got, let's see, what's up next? We've got 10 a.m. with Dr. Stephen Thomas, and we're going to talk with him about active learning and curricular reform or reinventions that he's been involved in. So
nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll tune in.
Please do. All right. So we will we'll put a bookmark on this, and then we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.